there is no Montana, only a confusing episode of American Horror Story. This is going to be a wild review. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name's EJ Marino and this is About Last Night, the show where I talk about the TV show I saw last night. We are diving into a brand new review. Yes, we are talking about American Horror Story 1984, Red Dawn. I don't know how to describe this episode of American Horror Story. Now, do I hate this episode? No, I think this was a fine episode. It entertained me. It kept me, intrigued throughout. But by the time it ended, I just went, oh, okay. And I don't know if that was the intended ending or the intended feeling that, Ryan Murphy and company wanted me to have. But it ended and I just was like, okay, I have questions, and I don't know if I love the route they're going. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting review, because I have a lot of feelings about this episode. I also just saw that movie, The Lighthouse, so my brain is still, trying to process that movie, and then we have the twist of this episode, and I'm like, what is my evening? Yes, before we get into how this episode actually played out, I'm going to talk about the big major twist. So it seems like whoever dies at the camp stays at the camp. It's kind of like purgatory, that's how Montana described it. And I'm like, okay, that's an interesting way of saying it. But isn't that the plot of Murder House and Hotel? We have this location that's haunted and keeps people trapped in there. There's spirits and all that, which is interesting that now we have 3 places in Horror Story that has had that happen, and I don't know how I feel about that. Is this a homage to other seasons? We're about to go into the 100th episode, or is this just lazy, oh, we've done this once, it worked, we did it twice, it kind of worked there, let's do it one more time. Well, I don't know if third time's the charm. But jumping to the beginning of the episode, it starts with Donna, and we get a little bit of her backstory. So we get her kind of doing some investigation. I'm like, ooh, is this a cheating ex? No, it's her dad. We find out her dad is a serial killer and has a woman just completely gutted, and I'm like, what is this opening? But it does give Donna a little bit of a backstory. It does kind of explain why she was so intrigued by serial killers. I don't excuse what she did. I still think releasing jingles and her whole attitude about it was kind of bad. But seeing this, she's just lost and confused and wants to figure out if people can be born evil. I think it's interesting. Now, again, don't excuse her, but I think this fleshes out her character a little bit more and makes me love this actress, Angelica Ross, way more. I think she is such a phenomenal actress and doing such a great job. She was amazing on Pose as Candy, but seeing her here, wow, this was a good opener and a good way to establish her character. I just kind of wish she was kind of a bigger part throughout this episode, because we started with her and I'm like, okay, by the end of the episode, again, I'm so but why? Right after that, we jump into where we were last week with Richard Ramirez and Donna. She just saw him float, get resurrected, and he's like, yep, that's just my friend Satan, just doing a nice good job helping me out. I like that a lot, actually. I think this was the first official supernatural element. We had the hitchhiker stuff that we all kind of knew was a little weird. We knew something was up, but him getting resurrected by Satan was such an interesting thing, and the way Donna reacted, and then Richard Ramirez and or Satan made Donna's father appear, and he had a good moment with her. I was just finally getting to some ooky spooky stuff, because I like the slasher vibe of this season, but I was waiting for that other shoe to drop. I was waiting for this kind of moment like this, and it happened, and I'm like, there we go. Then we jump to the car that was on fire that has Margaret, Xavier, Montana, and Chet. They're all there, it's going crazy, because Xavier's we're gonna burn this whole thing down. We're gonna do a big signal, hey, come, we have everything on fire, come save us. And Margaret's bam, hits him in the head and goes, no, he was going crazy, he was gonna harm us. And I'm like, no girl, you just love this goddamn creepy ass campground so much that you don't want anyone to mess with it. So I thought that was a cool way of starting that. And then we have everyone splitting up, which I really loved, because this gave me a great moment of what the hell. We have Brooke seeing Ray. You know Mr. Ray, frat boy with no head? Well, he has a head, and he's really confused and lost. This goes again with oh, kind of like the hitchhiker. I was really intrigued by this kind of like stuff, how Rey was reacting. And then we have a good moment with Rey and Brooke. I actually really liked their scenes together. I think this gave Emma Roberts a great monologue as Brooke, talking about her past, how she dumbed herself down for the man that she was engaged to. Then he's like, look, I kind of wanted a different path for myself. They hook up and I'm like, oh, well, she's not a virgin anymore, or we think. Yeah, that kind of sealed her deal. So there was a really cool moment with those two. I like them. Everyone was telling me he was on Dear White People, and I was just like, I need to see more of him. Well, after his little monologue in this episode and his whole reaction to being like a ghost or whatever he is, I just want to see more of him. The whole character of Rey went from someone who I was so disgusted with his last episode to really liking him here. Good job to the actor, and good job to Emma Roberts for bringing that out of the character. With everyone being split up, we have Margaret and Chet going across the lake to find some help. But surprise, Margaret's not taking him across the lake to like find help. Margaret's trying to kill Chet because she's a psychopath. This was another great moment, and I can't wait to like Trevor and Chet to be like, hey, Margaret, psychopath, what's up? That's gonna be a really good moment. But yeah, she does some like really brutal stuff to him, like the way she's trying to slice off his ear, the way she beats him with that oar, tying him down and drowning. Drowning is one of my biggest fears, so like that was pretty good. The way she like snatched off his ear, I love it. Like Leslie Grossman has really surprised me with her villainous take here, the way how she's been so disgusting and so weird. I love it. And the scene here with Chet is another good example of how scary Margaret is as a slasher and what she can do as a evil like badass here. Like the way she like even handled herself at the end of the episode, I love seeing her. Like I love a good baddie, and I really think Miss Margaret is one of our best baddies in AHS. The final team we have split up is Montana and Xavier. They run into Donna, and Donna lays it all out. Look, I did this to Jingles. Xavier goes crazy and tries to kill her, and Montana's like, good, I'm by myself. Let me go find Brooke to kill her. Like, Brooke's off her own with Rey. She finds Rey's head, which is one of my favorite things, because I go, okay, that helps me know people who died here, their bodies are still there. They're just coming back as this ghost, like Montana kind of said, a purgatory kind of thing. So that's interesting. So this leads, like, Brooke, after she finds Rey's head, freaks out, runs and tries to find Montana, who Montana's finally like, this is the moment I've been waiting for, smacks her and just lays it all out. And I'm like, oh gosh, Montana, I felt the character was building all that up and needed to let it all out. And I was just by the end, I'm like, do you feel better, Montana? I know you haven't killed her, but do you feel better venting that? Like, I know your sleazy little Richard Ramirez boyfriend ain't giving you all those, like, kind of help, but hey, talk it out. Don't kill. Oh, you're gonna do both? And Montana tries to do both. With all of this madness happening, I think there's a really cool smaller scene in the middle where we have Donna and Jingles speaking to each other. He's like, you should have never brought me here. And she goes, I agree. I feel bad. And I really like this moment because it made me feel bad for Donna, but it also made me like continuously feel bad for Jingles. I feel so bad for that guy. Like, he has one of the weirdest stories here because I'm like, look, you're not great, but you're like doing these things, but I feel bad for you because Margaret pushed you here, all the electroshock. I truly had no idea what to feel about this, but this moment with him and Donna was so good, so powerful. This episode was so jam-packed. I almost forgot about the fight that Brooke and Montana had when Brooke threw the boombox at her. Their fight kind of lays out the whole thing, and they go in on each other. Like, Brooke's kind of being a badass for once after Montana says all of this. Brooke's like, I didn't kill your brother. Like, so Montana's like, you didn't pull the trigger, but you got it. And Brooke's like, you're a psychopath, and starts chasing her around. All of this is happening where Margaret is finally getting to get her face off with Jingles, and it's interrupted by Xavier. He doesn't know that Margaret's evil, but all he knows is Jingle put him in the oven, so he just starts like bow and arrowing him. I thought that was so cool. Like, the archery of this scene was like kind of gross, kind of weird, but I'm like, you get your revenge on Jingles. Oh wait, no, we need Jingles alive because he's kind of the good person here. So after Xavier thinks he kills Jingles, he goes up to Margaret, and Margaret's like, thank you so much, stab, gut, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Margaret is not playing around. So after she kills Xavier, she just kind of like goes off and does her own thing, which leaves, then we have like the body of Jingles, and we have the bodies of Xavier there. Who shows up? Richard Ramirez, like kind of sitting on a little tree being like, hey guys, need some help? Hey Jingles, accept the Dark Lord and I'll like take you out of here. And it seems like he took him out, because I'll talk about the end of the episode with those two just driving off, and I'm like, Oh, so they're allowed to leave. Like, I don't think Jingles officially died in Camp Redwood, so he can leave. Same thing with Ramirez, because Satan kind of like interfered and let them go. So they just kind of go off and travel off to LA. We see that next week that they have some fun in LA. I'm really excited to see the adventures of Ramirez and Jingles, because what could that be? The sun is finally rising at Camp Redwood, and those kids that Margaret kept saying were going to come in the morning, well, they do show up. And what is the first thing they get to do at camp? Not archery, not arts and craft. No, they get to see Brooke murder Montana, like just full on stabbing her, and stabbing her. And I'm like, good, Brooke. Good, finally getting to do that. Oh no, not in front of the kids. And this calls, like, the cops show up, they arrest Brooke. Margaret plays like a victim, as she's been doing this whole season. She tricks them all, and I'm like, okay, we have Ray trying to be like, hey guys, can I like get out of here? She tries to drive him off in the paramedic. He just pops right back up at the camp. It really reminds me of that scene in Murder House when Violet's trying to leave the house and she's just looping around, and I'm like, that's so scary. Not as scary here, but we do get to realize once you die at the camp, you're not leaving the camp, which is what happened with the hitchhiker. He was kind of killed outside of it. That's why he was hit at the beginning of it. He shows up and says, oh, hey, Ray, welcome home. This is our trap purgatory, basically. Have fun. Join me. We find out anyone who dies at Camp Redwood stays at Camp Redwood, and honestly, they seem to be enjoying it really quickly. They all seem to know that it is a purgatory situation. Montana's enjoying it. She does the whole, I'm not Montana, I'm Zool, and I'm like, good reference, but also, wow, you really accepted dying quickly and being in purgatory quickly. It's interesting that they kind of know what's up. I'm really curious for the next episode. As much as I didn't love this episode, it had my mind wondering, and I went, I'm intrigued for next week. Instead of turning me off, I'm still excited, but this one did kind of feel like a little bit of a letdown to compare to some of the other ones this season. I've really enjoyed the season, and I still do, but this one, it just kind of went, oh, okay, maybe we were kind of predicting this twist for a while, the time loop, the purgatory thing, but like I said, it ended and I just went, that's fine, that's cool, not the intended feelings when you're leaving this episode. I'm going through my notes making sure I talked about everything, but this was a very jam-packed episode of American Horror Story. I kind of wish the episode Red Dawn was scaled back a little bit. Maybe like some of the stuff that happened, like the Donna stuff, maybe Jingles and Ramirez, that would have happened in another episode, because this was just so much happening with that big twist as well, and I'm like, I can't really absorb all of it because you've overloaded me with information. So like I said, I don't hate this episode, I don't love this episode. What do you guys think? Were you in love with Red Dawn? Did you hate this? What do you think of the twist? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I make videos like this every single week. Yeah, we have to you better keep subscribe because we have so many more episodes to deal with. Oh, and don't forget to give me a thumbs up because YouTube takes those way too seriously. Alright guys, let's talk about American Horror Story 1984 below.